Alright, what's going on, everybody? So, a lot of the shorter winter anime for the season are close to wrapping up as we head into April. And this past Friday, Darwin's Game just aired its final episode in Japan, and today I'm going to give my thoughts on the season as a whole. If you haven't watched the show yet, then don't worry, I'll keep this review relatively spoiler free, but hopefully provide you with enough information to determine whether you should give the show a shot. First, let me explain what Darwin's Game is and its plot. Darwin's Game is an anime adaptation of an ongoing 20-volume manga written by and illustrated by a duo going by the name of Flip Flops. Flip Flops consist of writer Genko Yuki and Takahata Yuki. The animation was produced by Nexus, a studio that hasn't done very much from what I can tell. Darwin's Game is the latest survival game anime in the same vein as King's Game, B-Tomb, Gantz, and Future Diary. In this type of anime, characters struggle to survive in a life or death game. Darwin's Game is quite similar to King's Game and Future Diary, but what makes this show stand apart from the aforementioned series is the superpowers that are added into the mix. No time is wasted as the main male protagonist, Kaname Sudo, is unwittingly thrust into King's Game when one of his friends sends him the app via online invitation out of desperation, fearing for his life. Kaname opens the app and gains a superpower called a sigil. Sigils differ depending on the person. These sigils can be just about anything. The power to manipulate chains, see auras, teleport, pyrokinesis, or the power to manipulate plants. Kaname's sigil allows him to recreate items that he's touched before. In Darwin's Game, players typically fight each other to the death for points, which can be used to buy items from a gacha shop. These items can be anything from guns or grenades that can help a player to survive. The points can even be converted to real cash, which is an enticing prospect for many people that play the game. Kaname manages to survive his first battle in Darwin's Game by pure luck, and from there he goes on to meet others that he eventually forms a clan with. The first ally he meets is the undefeated Queen, a cute, bloodthirsty girl named Shuka Korino, who immediately falls for him after their match. This character is not quite the yandere type like Yuno Garcia from Future Diary. She is far less crazy and possessive than Yuno. Shuka's sigil allows her to control chain-like things, which initially sounds like a very weak, limited power, but it does allow her to do some pretty cool things, such as swing through the air like Spider-Man. Later through the game's first event, he meets Rain Kashiwagi, a 13-year-old girl with the power to visualize the future, Ryuji Meisaka, a 21-year-old man with the power to detect lies, and Sui, a young girl who shares a body with the soul of her brother Soda that can manipulate and freeze water. Each of these characters have their own reason for playing the game, and the show explores their backstories briefly through flashbacks. These characters may fall into typical archetypes that we've seen in shows before, but I think enough is done with how they're written to keep them from feeling bland or boring. This show may not have the deepest characters, but they're certainly likable, and I can at least give Genko credit for how natural Kaname's character progression is throughout the season. Kaname initially just wants out of the game, and he doesn't want to kill people, but later his objective changes a little in that he wants to end the game for good and kill the person responsible for it. I had my reservations going into the series after watching King's Game last year, but this show manages to avoid a lot of the problems that series had. Deaths and gore aren't just there for shock value, and the show manages not to break the established rules of the game while building on top of those introduced in previous episodes. The premise is just as absurd as King's Game's plot, but the writing in Darwin's Game is leagues better. I think Genko does a great job blending traditional shonen fighting anime elements with what we typically get from a show from this genre. The superpowers allow for more traditional shonen style fights, such as Kaname vs. the Florist, Ichiro Hiraki, or Shuka vs. Sui and Soda. These fights are well animated, and in general the animation is really good. The action scenes in this were great, especially a chase scene in episode 9 with Zulian. I rewatched the season up to episode 9 in English, and so far there has only been one scene where the animation looked a little weird to me. There's a scene in episode 6 where Kaname and Shuka are moving around in water and it kind of looked bad. Other than that, the animation has been really good. In terms of voice acting, this is one of the few shows where I kind of prefer the Japanese version over the English version, mainly due to how certain things are pronounced. I don't like the way that they pronounce Sigil or Sui's name. Although I think the English voice acting is fine overall, I'm not a big fan of Rain's English voice actor. However, the voice actors for Kaname, Shuka, Sui, Soda, Ichiro, Wang, and Ryuji are all good and fit the characters well. Overall, I think Darwin's Game's first season was good and it had a very satisfying ending. While I didn't really have any major gripes with it, I won't claim that it's something more special than it is. It's a competently written survival game show with great action scenes brought to life by quality animation and voice acting. I'm sure fans of the manga might have their grievances, and I wouldn't be surprised if what criticism there was in regards to the quick pacing, which I'd argue was probably necessary for a 11 episode season. I'm pretty sure there's probably going to be some people that say, oh, they skipped this or they skipped that was in the manga. But here's the thing, I haven't read the manga, so I can only judge this show as its own standalone thing. And with that being said, I'll give Darwin's Game a 7.5 out of 10. I hope this video was informative and I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Let me know what you guys think about Darwin's Game in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe, and I'm out of here. Peace.